When did you first hear Metallica? Was it at school, a mate's house, maybe driving around in the car, perhaps on TV? For me it was on guitar, actual guitar. In fact, this one. Growing up, my mate Dion introduced me to the guitar. He was way ahead of me, still is, but he didn't have an amp. My dad played guitar, in fact that one, and had an amp, so our friendship was sealed. Anyway, I remember Dion showing me the riffs, the Four Horsemen, Fade to Black, Seek and Destroy, One. It was mind-boggling, life-changing stuff. We'll get into a few of those riffs shortly, but first, welcome. Welcome to the Gospel according to Metallica. This is the first episode in a new series that's looking at the wisdom and insight embedded in the works of rock and metal's great artists. Now, we're not going to take anything out of context or twist words or try and make it fit any predetermined view or faith or perspective the artist never intended. It's going to keep to the integrity of the actual works. But there's more going on in rock and metal than most people realise. And like the prophets of old, these artists are often holding an uncomfortable mirror up to society, pointing out our exploitation, the injustice, the hypocrisy, things we turn a blind eye to, and just general commentary on the human condition. We're going to dive deep into these things. At the same time, hopefully introduce you to some new music. And today, first episode, the mighty Metallica. First, some quick facts. Metallica formed in 1981, and they burst onto the metal scene 2 years later in 1983 with their first album, Kill 'Em All. They followed that up 12 months later with Ride the Lightning. We're going to get deep into some of these. As you can see, their careers has gone on from there. Now, Metallica are one of the only metal bands, one of my only sets of big heroes for me, that I've never seen live. I've tried and failed twice. First time, I was at university, Hamilton, city in the North Island, New Zealand, where I live, and I learned that a couple of hours further up the road in Auckland, Metallica were coming. Bad news. It was the night before one of my university exams. Worst news. I made the responsible decision to stay home and study, smash out the exam the next day. What was I thinking? Been trying to remedy that ever since. Had tickets to go see them a couple of years ago. That's where this t-shirt comes from. And COVID killed it. So, Metallica, come to New Zealand. We got to put this right. Anyway, moving on. Amongst the genre sort of typical songs about metal, the power of metal, and evil lurking on the edges of society, another theme emerges through Metallica's work. These themes are often epic, mythic, even biblical proportions, as well as some really fascinating commentaries on just life on the planet, the shared human experience. We're going to dive deep into these things today and take a closer look at what's going on under the surface in the lyrics and the thinking, the message of the band. So first, we'll take a look and a listen, beginning with the Four Horsemen of Kill 'Em All, track number 2, one of the early riffs my mate Dion introduced me to. Now this comes screaming out of your speakers with one of metal's greatest guitar riffs. While the drums and guitars herald the galloping hooves of judgment, there's this rich apocalyptic poetry being delivered in the lyrics, as Metallica described this quartet of deliverance. Let's check it out. Cool bridge into the chorus. The horsemen are drawing nearer, on leather steeds they ride. They've come to take your life. On through the dead of night, with the four horsemen ride, or choose your fate and die. It's classic hellfire, damnation, themes of judgment. It's really classic metal stuff. But as that progresses, and we're being warned to make sure we're on the right side of the ledger, this other deeper discussion of the human condition starts to unfold. As we get into the next shift, the bridge, the change up, check it out. The change up in the timing, the guitars, the riff is just killer. But it's also this beautifully rendered description of the human condition. If you didn't catch the lyrics, check them out. Time has taken its toll on you. The lines that crack your face. Getting a few more of these as I get older. Famine, your body it has torn through, withered in every place. Pestilence, for what you've had to endure and what you've put others through. It's this brilliant discussion that the tragedies, the traumas, the things we've been through and endured in life are etched not only in our soul, but in our being, our body. You see them in the lines of our face, the stature, the posture of our body. But more potently is their description of the harms and pain we inflict on others, usually through pains we've endured, is like this contagious parasite, this plague, this literally pestilence that's being passed down through one generation to the next. It's a genius, disturbing insight. Brilliant stuff. And you get more of this as we move into Ride the Lightning, and the themes just get bigger, more epic, with Cthulhu, and here particularly of the biblical proportions, creeping death. It's the origin story of the Jewish Passover, with the angel of death floating around and going over the houses with the blood painted on the walls. Great stuff for a metal song. It was so ironic for me coming to this stuff late in life. Dad was an evangelical atheist, militant atheist. Mum's family was witchcraft, Ouija board, seances, that kind of thing. And my parents became Christian when I was about 5. Fairly major change. But Mum and Dad, super open. It broadened their world, added so much to their life. And so music, hunting, sport, all those things. We lived a really rich life as a family. But the prevailing religious environment I grew up in, music and those things, music in particular, was something to be viewed as suspicion. And rock music or metal, downright evil. So what a shock it was for me as I came into this stuff as I grew up and got into my teens and making my own choices around music, just find how deeply rich the layers and just the imprint of biblical literature was in the world of metal. It was awesome, and I was really just starting to scratch the surface. So we'll continue with that, but for now, back to Metallica's story. As you move across the early Metallica albums, particularly that classic era, just the epic themes really start to develop, both musically and lyrically. We get the introduction of classically influenced acoustic guitars, but it's offset with this contrast of things like Lovecraftian terror, Call of Cthulhu, apocalyptic warnings of the end result of just our unbridled warfare, fight fire with fire, for whom the bell tolls. Then we get these discussions on the futility of existence, Fade to Black, but contrasted with this beautiful musical composition against these dark, reflective lyrics. It's really fascinating. Check it out, it's haunting. And then it transitions into just this inspired piece. It's like a loop, we're stuck in this loop. Get out of bed. Go to work or school. This chord, the G chord, is like a sigh, that note is like a sigh. And then guess what? It starts all over again. Work, school. Oh, it's hard. Human condition. Metallica, genius. Let's move on. And this brings us to what is for many Metallica's defining moment, Master of Puppets, both musically and lyrically. And we see a shift here as we move from the monsters of myth and legend to the monsters of addiction, mental illness, societal breakdown. It's epic stuff. And it heralds a contrast, both musically and lyrically, these moments of bliss and beauty, serenity, but then against the pain, anger, frustration that our temptations bring to ourselves and others. It's epitomized most powerfully on the album's title track, Master of Puppets, which is not just an epic musical composition, but it's this incredible lyrical essay on our relationship with our addictions. Check out the core lyrics. Taste me, you will see, more is all you need, dedicated to how I'm killing you. Come crawling faster, obey your master. And then the chorus, Master of Puppets, I'm pulling your strings, twisting your mind and smashing your dreams. It's just visceral stuff. I can remember my oldest daughter, Violet, when she was a young toddler playing with something on the ground in the lounge. I decided it was time to introduce her to the classics. I'll never forget the first time I played this song. I inserted the CD, cranked up the stereo loud enough for the neighbours to hear, and said, "Violet, listen to this." When that opening cymbal crash hit and the riff started in, and then the syncopated start, she jumped off, left her toys on the floor, just ran around and round and round and round in circles. It was a super proud dad moment. How else are you supposed to respond to this music, this level of energy and intensity? Awesome. From here, we come to what is my personal favourite Metallica album, And Justice for All, and just the scope and scale is colossal. We move here from a study in personal demons to those that plague society, the halls of power, justice, decision making, the pillars of society, and the things that influence life on a grand scale. It's just colossal. Acoustic and clean guitars abound, and just the beauty is phenomenal. We'll check it out in a second. To me, it's like the heralding, the potential, the beauty that society's institutions could bring to all of us if their job was done well. But then it's contrasted with these walls of aggression that speak to the hypocrisy we too often inherit instead. Let's get started, and we'll check out first the intro to the title track. Notice the layered guitars, the harmonies, just the beauty, the promise of what could be. That dream will shatter, but first, let's enjoy the beauty. This piece is totally epic all by itself before any words are spoken. But then there's the lyrics. Check out a couple of the selections. The ultimate in vanity, exploiting their supremacy. Further down, apathy their stepping stone, so unfeeling, hidden deep animosity. And my favourite lines nearing the end. Rolls of red tape seal your lips, now you're done in. Their money tips your scales again, make your deal. Justice is lost, justice is raped, justice is gone. Pulling your strings, justice is done. Seeking no truth, winning is all. It's epic, a stinging critique of the hypocrisy and the systemic prejudice that colours our society when it could be so different. We see similar contrasts in the fourth, possibly most famous track off this album, the song One. Possibly the saddest song ever committed to tape. Back in the day, it literally was tape. This is before the digital era. The One is haunting and hostile. It's serene and somber. And as the tale unfolds, you'll see why. We're going to begin first. We're just going to take a moment and check out that acoustic opening. Then we'll unpack what's going on from there. Again, much like Fade to Black, it's relatively simple, but it's haunting, somber. It sets a tone for what's to come. One is based on the anti-war novel, Johnny Got His Gun, about a World War II vet who returns as a quadruple amputee. The song is just brutal. Musically, it's a masterpiece. Lyrically, it's a tough listen. Check it out. Darkness imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die, trapped in myself, body, my holding cell. The song is just really uncomfortable and unflinching. and it's just so metal. Without taking anything away from one, it reminds me of a brilliant book, Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. The book talks about, based on lots of research, how poor we are at predicting our own happiness, but more powerfully, how even worse we are at predicting the happiness of others. And it gives some outstanding case studies of those who live with disabilities or other traumas that those outside their life would expect them to be a really low indexes around happiness, fulfillment, at being at peace with their life. But when they're interviewed, they're found to be the opposite is in fact true. It really underscores the point that we can really evaluate no one else's lot in life except our own. Still, with one, Metallica have created an absolutely iconic metal masterpiece. It's an accolade that's well deserved. These musical and lyrical contrasts echo across the entire album. Another great example, To Live Is To Die, near the end. Here we've got Cliff Burton echoing Paul Gerhardt's immortal words in Excalibur. When a man lies, he murders some part of the world. These are the pale deaths which men miscall their lives. All this I cannot bear to witness any longer. Cannot the kingdom of salvation take me home? Ultimately, it's a plea and a prayer for redemption. And this sets the scene for later era Metallica, as we move now to the immensely successful Black Album. The Black Album landed on Walkmans, CD players, turntables, there was no streaming back then, in August 1991. It's a beast of an album, but not without its controversy. The song structures were shorter, simpler, more hooky and accessible, and it came right in the era of the grunge explosion. I can remember hanging out in the common room at school in my senior years with my mate Max teaching me the guitar parts to Sad But True. It was like, I was early in my guitar days then, it was like being a learner driver on a learner license, being given the keys to the Mustang. Instant beast mode. It was phenomenal stuff. Heady times, heady album. The album's full of hard-hitting slabs of slower pace, riff-anchored heaviness. Lyrically, the themes seem to centre on integrity, with these cutting lines, for example, from Holier Than Thou. It's not who you are, it's who you know. Others' lives are the basis for your own. Brilliant stuff. And then we get the life-size lament of the unforgiven. What I've felt, what I've known, never shine through on what I've shown, never free, never me, so I dump the unforgiven. Brilliant, moving, again, epic stuff. Really look on that internal integrity, alignment with yourself and your values and truth. Then we get the anger of the God that failed. Lyrically, it's Hetfield's reflections on his own mother's illness and a Christian Science beliefs that denied her the medicine that was on offer, tragically costing her life. So here again we get the broken promise, betrayal, the healing hand held back by the deepened nail. Follow the God that failed. Any of you who've lost loved ones through horrific ways of traumas, any of us have had those experiences and the questions of faith that follow, you feel like you've been betrayed by life itself. We can all relate to this sort of pain. Yet despite these laments, this album contains the ultimate song, the ultimate article of defiant hope and faith I think that's ever been penned. Nothing Else Matters. Nothing Else Matters is arguably the world's most epic love song. Love, marriage, that promise is the ultimate defiant hope in the face of a finite universe. It's this epic commitment that defies the odds and even our own mortality. It stares down the universe and says you cannot break what we have. Check it out. Never cared for what they say. Never cared for games they played, never cared for what they do, never cared for what they know. So close no matter how far, it couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are and nothing else matters. It's the most epic statement, the most epic love song on the planet, and it could only have been written by a metal band. And this brings us to the more experimental and controversial element of Metallica's career, with the albums Load and Reload. And Saint Anger over to the side, we're just gonna gloss over that for our purposes today. Anyhow, I discovered these albums through singles, cassette singles. Those of you who are a bit younger than I, you might not have seen one of these before. It's got magnetized tape in it. You used to chuck that in a cassette player, or a Walkman even, a portable player, and it would pick up the magnetized signals and they'd come out through your speakers, and that was your music. Awesome stuff. However, cassette singles, just like a normal cassette tape, but with hardly any tape on them. Everything else the same. Possibly the least efficient use of physical materials in our known universe. Still, loved it. We're going to take a deeper dive into my favourite song off these albums in this era, Until It Sleeps. Check out the lyrics. Where do I take this pain of mine? I run, but it stays right by my side. The traumas that haunt us in life stick to us, they follow us, we take them with us. Powerful, powerful reflection. So tear me open and pour me out. There's things inside that scream and shout. We all need surgery on our souls, but not everything that's in there is safe. Just like the curse, just like the stray, you feed it once and now it stays. It's a genius line. It can speak the experience any of us have had to any of the vices and temptations we've entertained in life. You fed it once, now it stays. Brilliant metaphor. So tear me open, but beware. There's things inside without a care. In the dirt, it still stains me. So wash me until I'm clean. We all need this washing, this baptism. My soul needs to be washed in holy water, but none of us can get clean by ourselves. It's an outstanding insight. Essentially a prayer and a plea in the form of a 90s rock song. From there, we're going to skip ahead now to Metallica's welcome return to thrash metal, albeit with a modern vibe. We're going to check out the albums Death Magnetic, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and 72 Seasons. And there's musical and lyrical gold in these hills. So first up, Death Magnetic. Firstly, what a wicked cover album setup. Check out the inlay, just this coffin all the way through. It's just brilliant, wonderful art. Anyhow, the Defiance is back. Broken, beaten, scarred. It's a great reworking of Nietzsche's statements, but with an airworm beast of a riff. Check it out. Painted a couple of walls of our house listening to that track in the album one summer. Ever since then I associate it with hard labour. Kind of fitting. You rise, you fall, you're down and you rise again. What don't kill you make you more strong. My English teacher would have been proud. Elsewhere we get the day that never comes. And just the resilience, the defiance, again the determination to rise above the oppression of abusive relationships. It's brilliant, it's outstanding stuff. The sun will rise, this I swear. There's brilliant things going on in this album, but we're going to keep moving. As you can tell from the sudden costume change, I'm a big fan of 72 Seasons. Getting a big kick out of the album and a big kick out of my shirt. This t-shirt came all the way to me in New Zealand from Tel Aviv, Israel. My wife was able to join her mum last year on a tour together through Israel. And hot temperatures, busy schedule. In the midst of all of that, she grabbed her mum and said, hey, we gotta go in here, and took her into a metal store in the midst of Tel Aviv. It's a good woman that brings her husband a metal t-shirt from the other side of the world, and it's a great mother-in-law who puts up with it. So props to my wife Carla, massive props and apologies to my mother-in-law Jeanette, who took one for the team that day, all for the cause of metal. Anyway, back to 72 Seasons. Great album, epic sound, big setups, for long payoffs into sudden riff changes. Lyrically again continuing those themes of integrity and how we get free of our own mess and muck. I might run, but still my shadows follow. Great stuff, spend some time with it. But where I want to wrap up today is with my favourite track of Hardwired to Self-Destruct. The song's called Now That We're Dead, and it's the quintessential example of the gospel according to Metallica. As we dive into these lyrics, you're going to notice a slight difference in the perspective. Instead of coming from a place of brokenness or pleas for help or the futility of existence, this song comes from a position of hope found. It reads more like a blessing or a benediction over our lives, and it's a great note to end on. When darkness falls, may it be that we should see the light, and when reaper calls, may it be that we walk straight and right. If we've lived our life in search of the light, when the ultimate darkness finally comes, may we face death without fear. When doubt returns, may it be that faith shall permeate our scars. And when we're seduced, may it be that we not deviate our cause. For those that find faith in life, may it be a shield against doubts, against the crushing blows we all experience in our existence. And when temptation comes, may we not deviate our cause. May we be so focused in our mind that we do not yield. In the bridge, all sinners are future, all saints are past. Beginning, the ending, return to ash. It's a brilliant use of Oscar Wilde's reflection on saints and sinners, and then it sets up the chorus hook. Now that we're dead, we can live forever. This is the core essence of Jesus' teaching. Those who lose their lives will find it. Or the encouragement that St. Paul added, to live as if you're those already dead. Those that can adopt this perspective and find that stance in life, death has no power over them. Let's continue. When all is pain, may it be it's all we've ever known. When flame consumes, may it be it warms our dying bones. To quote the Princess Bride, and to simplify and slightly butcher the first noble truth of Buddhism, life is pain. When pain comes, rather than resist or resent or fight it, how about we accept it and use its flame to warm our dying bones? What a subversive, defiant statement. Easier said than done for sure, but what a sentiment. Continuing. When loss has won, may it be it's you I'm madly fighting for. Again, that defiant love back from Nothing Else Matters. What are my motivations? What matters? If I lose a battle in life, may it be a battle that was worth fighting for, and may my motivations be true. This is outstanding. The next line. When kingdom comes, may it be that we walk right through that open door. When the end finally comes and the stairway of heaven's lying before us, may that door open wide and we be invited to walk right on through. And then after the chorus and the final refrain, you get these closing lines. Return to ashes, shed the skin. Beyond the black, we rise again, and we shall live forever. This is my sort of prayer, my sort of benediction, my sort of church service. The thing I can really say is amen. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you again real soon. And that is the gospel according to Metallica. When did you first hear Metallica? Was it at school, a mate's house, maybe driving around the guitar? Without taking anything away from none. None! There's one! Check it out. It's just this horn.